What if I was to tell you Thomas Frank was getting sacked in the morning? How would you feel? Would you be upset by this? Would you be saying things like I would be saying, I'm tired of this now? Or would you be happy? The next thought we'd have to be saying is, who's going to replace Thomas Frank? Who would come in? Now, there's some top candidates out there, but would they really want to come to Spurs? Would they want to come to this toxic stadium at the moment? It's hard to say. Who could we attract? And the problem we have, which is even worse that we probably haven't even thought of, is if we do replace Frank and he is gone in the morning, what if we got somebody in that was even worse? Now, you say it can't be worse. I say it can, because I remember the same thing last season. Last season, I got Ange is inept. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of his depth. I would rather have anyone other than Ange. This is what I heard last season. Now we've got Thomas Frank in, and I'm hearing the same things. Now, if we've gone worse, well, the win rate has dropped dramatically since appointing Thomas Frank from Ange Postecoglou. So we have got it wrong. The biggest problem I have is I don't trust the board to get it right. If we did sack Frank, getting the names mixed up now, call him Frange, put them both together. But let's say we sacked Frank. I wouldn't trust the board to get someone in. I wouldn't trust the board to be able to attract a top manager to come here. I don't know how they would sell it to a top manager unless they just paid him big money, which I don't think ENIC would do. But what if it got worse? What if a next manager comes in and our win rate drops even more? What if the fans don't take to the next manager? What if it's not a big name and fans can't get behind it or behind him? What happens then? Do we then say, I'm tired of this, we want to sack the next manager? Because that's what will happen. It will 100% happen. So we have to be very careful with what we wish for, because last season a lot of people wished for Ange to be gone, which rightly or wrongly, but it has got worse since he has gone so far. Now, I'm not saying that Frank won't turn it around. We saw some green shoots, in my opinion, in that second half against Villa. I saw a few good things against Bournemouth. That's fair enough, but I haven't seen enough. There's only a small sample size of that for me to say, yes, I'm on the Frank train. I'm totally behind him. I really want him to do well. So I'm not there yet with Frank either. But I am a little bit worried about what could happen if we did sack him. And then again, we've churned out another manager and it's rinse and repeat, which is really frustrating for Spurs fans, because we're not getting any continuous, I can't say the word, but it's not continued over the few years like it was with Poch. We had him here for 5 years. And now people are screaming to get Poch back. And I remember when people were screaming for Poch to leave. I don't think that the manager is the full problem here. I don't believe it's just the players either. I think it's a mixture of both. But I know the main culprit here, and the common denominator that's been here for 25 years, is ENIC. Now, ENIC have told us that they sacked Ange because they wanted to compete on all four fronts. I find it very hypocritical that now we're out of 3 cup competitions, not competing anywhere near the top of the Premier League, and Frank still has a job. I think it's quite hypocritical to say those things, and then when we're not doing it with the new manager, we keep him anyway. So the board seem like they've not got no plan whatsoever, which for me frustrates me even more. We're going through one of the worst parts I've seen at Spurs, and not one board member has come out and reassured anybody of what's actually going on, what the actual plan is. There could be an argument to say that they told us the plan in the summer and they don't need to keep coming out and repeating what they said. But they didn't say in the summer that everything was going to get worse, did they? They didn't tell us the contingency plan if things didn't go to plan. I don't really rate Johan Lange. I don't rate Paratici either. I know some people do. I just don't. I don't think they're the as good as people make out that they are. If they were that good, why are we 14th in the league and out of all the cup competitions other than the Champions League? Obviously, the reason why I wasn't counting the Champions League, because I don't believe for a second we are going to win that. So I've sort of just pushed that to the side for now. I know anything's possible, but just at the moment, I couldn't see us winning a game, let alone winning the Champions League. So, but I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of every single season talking about the same things. The manager's not good enough. The players are not good enough. ENIC out. It's the same for Spurs. We've never got this. Like I said, other than the Poch era, we never have that space where we're just content with our team, love watching our team, love going to games, competing against every single team that we play against. We haven't got that anymore. So Spurs fans are so dejected at the moment. I speak to hundreds, maybe thousands of Spurs fans monthly now, like probably thousands of Spurs fans, and all of them now are telling me things like, I don't want to watch Spurs anymore. I switch off. I've supported Spurs for 60 years and I don't want to watch them anymore. And it's really, really sad to hear those comments. And what's the solution? That's what we need to think about. Let's say the board did come out and they finally spoke to us and they said to us, right, we're going to get that 150 million plus that 35 million. And we're going to back Frank. We're not sacking Frank. We're going to back him. We're going to back him with everything. Anything he wants, we're going to give him. We want success for this club. Imagine a board member saying that to us fans. It would be a breath of fresh air. I cannot see it happening, but imagine if they did. And now they've said, right, we're backing Frank. This is what we're going to do, right? And Frank says, right, I want a left winger. We've already got a left back in. He wants 2 midfielders in and maybe a right winger as well, right? And he said, right, that's the plan. And he buys the players that he wants. And that's what we're going to do going forward. Would you get behind that at least? Would you say, you know what? I don't want to sack Frank. It's pointless bringing in another manager that could be worse. Give him 150 million and he could waste it on talent that we don't even want, and then sack him a few months later and then another manager comes in. By the way, we have to pay Thomas Frank 20 million as well if we sack him this season. So would it be more logical to keep him? We're not in any cups anymore. The only thing we can do maybe is try and progress in the league, get behind a manager for once and try and see what he can do. I know that there's a fear that you can back the wrong manager. That's not a good idea either. We could give all the money to Thomas Frank and he could literally spend all that money and then get sacked 2 months later because results haven't improved. I know that's that risk too, but it depends on whether the players are behind Frank as well. Are they behind him? If the players are behind him, and I think in that second half against Aston Villa, it looked like they were fighting, they were winning their duels, they were creating chances, they had passion on the pitch, which I haven't seen for a while. And it just felt like maybe they are behind him. Let's just say they are for now, for argument's sake. They're behind Frank. Wouldn't it be logical to keep him, give him the money, see what he can do to the end of the season? If nothing improves, then get a top manager in the summer. I do not think we're going to get a top manager in January. So it's just logical, really, to just wait until the end of the season. As long as we're not getting that bad that we start fighting relegation, trying to get out of relegation, then maybe I'd probably rethink it. If we ended up around mid-table, we were safe, but we were building and we were seeing more green shoots of progress, then that's fine by me. It's gutting that we're not in any cups. It's gutting that we're not going to have any, or we wouldn't have a parade for the FA Cup anyway. But, well, we might do. Don't know. But it would be nice to have won the FA Cup or even got through. But if we saw any kind of progress, which we haven't now, by the way, so I'm not backing Frank and saying we definitely need to keep him. I'm saying if we see green shoots, improvement throughout this season, after he's been backed, he's got better players and players that he wants, and he's getting better, it just makes logical sense to keep him until the summer. If we're not happy in the summer with Thomas Frank, we can always go down a different path and back another manager. And hopefully the players that we did bring in January are good enough players to play in any system, which will help the next manager that comes in, maybe even Pochettino after the World Cup. But then Pochettino's not going to have much time after the World Cup because I think he finishes in August. But it depends on how far USA get. I'm not expecting them to get as far as the semis or the quarters, but you never know. Anything can happen. So we know the real problem. The real problem is ENIC. The second problem is Thomas Frank and the players. Are they going to improve? But the solution is we have to just back somebody. The solution is we have to have some sort of plan. If we haven't got a plan, and I don't think this board members have, and it's even more of a joke that Paratici might be leaving as well during the transfer window when he's been planning it apparently for 5 months. The whole thing has been a shambles, all been a joke. It all needs ripped up and started again, to be honest. Some people are saying it might be good for us to get relegated. I don't believe that for a second. You could get relegated and never come back up again, and that would be a disaster. So the solution is planning. We need to plan better. The board need to speak to us, and if the board don't speak to us, make them speak to us, because none of this team or the club or anything will be without us fans. So maybe the solution is get the board to start making a plan and start becoming ambitious. We're not seeing much ambition from our board, which is leaking down to the manager, which is leaking down to the players, and leaking down to the fans. Lots needs to change, but I'm not sure if just changing the manager changes anything, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think it's a logical way of going by sacking Frank? You might already be there now, and I don't blame you. He hasn't done much to get behind, so I don't blame you if you're Frank out. But what's the logical path we should go down if we do sack him? And hopefully you realize that it could get worse. Just because you sack a manager doesn't mean things are going to get better. Thank you for watching. Come on, you Spurs.